All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about a topic you probably think you know really well, phonics. But what if I told you that phonics isn't just about learning to read? What if it's actually the secret ingredient, the real foundation, for unlocking creative writing? We're going to explore how these simple sounds become the building blocks for incredible stories.
I want you to really let this idea sink in for a second, because it completely reframes the whole conversation. We're moving beyond just decoding letters on a page and into the world of creation. You know, when a child can sound out k, ah, t, they can also start to imagine, describe, and ultimately write a story about that very cat. And this is the whole journey right here. It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. This shows the exact pathway we're going to follow, how the tiniest units of sound can literally blossom into full-fledged narratives. It's the secret map from basic reading to true creative expression. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the fundamental link between phonics and creativity. Then, we'll get into the practical steps of building words and sentences. After that, we'll see how to weave those sentences into actual stories. And finally, we'll check out some really fun ways to ignite creative play.
Okay, so let's start with the big question. Why is phonics really the launchpad for a young writer? Why does it all start here?
It all comes down to one word: confidence. And confidence is the fuel for creativity. See, when kids know they can actually spell the words they can sound out, words like cat or sun that follow the rules, they become fearless. They're not afraid to try new words because that paralyzing fear of spelling it wrong just starts to fade away. They begin to see language not as a bunch of random rules, but as a cool, predictable system they can actually use.
And that's the bottom line. The connection is direct. It's powerful. The very same skills a child uses to decode words when they read are the exact skills that give them the confidence to encode their own ideas onto the page when they write.
So now that we get the why, let's get practical. How do we actually take those individual sounds and start assembling them into the first blocks of creation?
Well, it starts super simple. You create these little word banks with easy decodable words. Think cat, hat, mat. Then you start grouping them into categories that make sense, like animals or actions or places. Then you sprinkle in a few simple adjectives like big or red. And all of a sudden, that child has a real, working vocabulary they can play with.
Now, to turn those words into sentences, we can use this awesome, simple formula, the SVI method. S is for subject, so who's the sentence about? V is for verb, what are they doing? And I is for information, where, when, or how are they doing it?
And check this out. This is the SVI method in action. The cat sat on the mat. Every single one of those words is decodable. This isn't about memorizing a bunch of sight words. This is about empowering a kid to build a complete, meaningful sentence from the sounds they already know. It's a total game changer. And to make it even easier, you can give them these simple, decodable sentence starters. They're like training wheels for writing. They get rid of that blank page anxiety and let kids just jump right into getting their ideas down.
Okay, so we have our building blocks. We've got words and we've got sentences. Now for the really exciting part, weaving all those threads together into an actual story.
Writing a whole paragraph can feel huge, right? Intimidating. But this simple formula breaks it right down. You start with your main idea, you add one more little detail, and then you wrap it up. Start, add, end. It's a structure that makes writing a paragraph feel totally doable.
And just look at the result. This charming little story is built entirely on that simple formula and words they can sound out. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's a complete narrative, and you can just imagine the sense of accomplishment a young writer would feel creating this.
Now, what's really cool is that you can build stories around specific phonics rules. This one, for example, is all about the silent E pattern. The rule isn't a limitation. It actually becomes the creative spark, the fun puzzle that inspires the whole story.
This next activity is, well, it's basically magic for early writers. You just show them a picture and ask them to list all the words they see that they can sound out. Then you help them turn those words into sentences, and finally arrange those sentences into a little story. So for instance, from a simple picture of a cat in a box, a child might come up with words like cat, box, sit. And from there, a whole story just emerges. The cat is in the box. It can sit on the box. The box is hot in the sun. This activity makes a direct, tangible connection between phonics and creative expression.
All right, for our final section, let's look at some really fun hands-on activities that turn phonics practice into pure creative playtime.
I absolutely love this one. Roll a story. You just make some dice with decodable characters, actions, and settings on them. A child rolls them and gets a story prompt like, "The hen hops to the pond." It generates endless, silly, phonetically sound story ideas and makes writing feel like a game, not a chore.
And there are so many other great ideas out there. You could use phonics story cubes or play a game like Write the Sound You Hear and then build a story from it. Or you could use simple, decodable story starters like On a Hot Day. The main thing is to keep it light, keep it playful, and always anchor it to the phonics skills they're building.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. It's such a powerful thought. Reading makes a child literate, which is, of course, absolutely crucial. But writing, using those same phonetic tools to share their own thoughts, that is what makes them truly expressive.
So the big takeaway from all of this is that creative writing isn't some magical, innate talent that you're either born with or you're not. It's a skill. And it's a skill that grows directly from the seeds of phonics. Just like we've seen, those tiny sounds blossom into words, then sentences, and finally into stories.
And that brings us to our final question, the one I want to leave you with. How can we, as educators, as parents, as anyone who cares about kids, actively shift our mindset? How can we transform phonics from just another reading lesson into a daily act of creative empowerment?